NewGenGamers.com.
World Championship Baseball!
This was a title made in 1983.
Oh, look at that overlay. That's really nice. Once again, we're playing this on the PS2 compilation disc, which is very nice. And I want to continue again talking about something else that I think I went over briefly, but the resurrection, if you will, of the Intellivision with the Intellivision 3. But it wasn't called that. It was called the INTV System 3. And what it was the vice president of marketing, his name was Valinsky, that's his last name, eventually bought the rights to the Intellivision line, and he paid $16.5 million. The INTV System 3 was basically the Intellivision redone with a new box. It no longer had the sleek wooden look that would go well in your log cabin and or early 80s cedar house. I don't know what the hell they were trying to prove with that. I don't understand all the early 80s consoles had a wood finish, but evidently they were trying to pretend like they hollowed them out of trees. But it came out with the more, you know, the 80s black box look. But it did the same things as the first Intellivision.
You know, honestly, I think there's a logical reason why.
Alright, share it with me.
This may be way out of the realm here, but the original Magnavox Odyssey boxes that Ralph Baer was making, or well, that he was making, he used wood boxes. So maybe all the other corporate companies, after they got bigger, thought, we need to steal that idea, and just ran with it. I don't know. It was the 80s. They added on the cars, that veneer. It was everywhere. I don't know.
I don't know what was it.
Those people were nuts.
It was.
Thank God I wasn't alive yet.
Evidently, it was. You know, if you needed to hide in the bushes or something, you could drive your Volkswagen back there, or whatever.
And hold your Intellivision in front of you. And
exactly.
No one would see you.
Camouflage. You have to camouflage these things so they fit in with the house.
So, if anyone can explain the wood finishing of the 80s, please help us with that.
I mean, we're not young, but we're young lads. We weren't, you know, in the 80s we were just born, so we don't understand this.
We've just seen it, and we don't know what the hell.
You other world-weary adventurers, let us know what's going on.
What were you thinking? All right, so carry on. So the VP of marketing buys the rights to the Intellivision outright from Mattel after the crash or during the crash because Mattel realized they weren't going to make any more money off this. The market was flooded.
And, you know, they had just failed with the keyboard peripheral, as we spoke about before. They promised it. Got to the point they were being fined $1 million a day.
$10,000 a day?
$10,000. I'm sorry, $10,000.
And, yeah, so they released that. The Aquarius computer system was a huge failure. So after being hot on electronic gaming and really starting it and innovating it for the home, Mattel walked away from it.
And then, as I said, Valinsky bought the rights. And one of the nice things is he brought back a lot of the members of the Blue Sky Rangers at this point.
This was done solely out of a love of the culture and what they had created. They called the company INTV, Intellivision.
There you go.
You know, it was a standalone company called INTV. And they brought those guys back on, the people that truly believed in this machine and had a lot of fun working on it and creating it, and we have not seen that with other video game systems. You know, once the corporate heads are done with it, you know, it pretty much usually these systems fade into obscurity and only dorks like us talk about it. But with the Intellivision, the dorks that made it are still talking about
Absolutely.
it. You know?
And, you know, it's the underdog syndrome. I think that's what it is in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, this system is superior. In almost every way, actually, it's superior to the other two that were out at the time. But
yeah,
it was the underdog in a lot of sense.
Atari had the name, and Coleco just came out of nowhere. So Intellivision really did have that. You know, these guys all were young developers, new to the industry, and had a lot of gumption and really believed in what they were doing. And you know, I'm sure it was heartbreaking for them to see the whole thing collapse like that after they'd put so much work into making this thing, because, you know, again, as we discussed, they had a strong development team that wasn't, they weren't bringing the arcade ports home. These guys were
Making
developing and
original
creating.
titles.
Yeah. So INTV came along. And what year was that? Was that 1980?
It was 85.
85.
And it was between 85 and 91 that the INT system, TV System 3, was alive, and they ended up producing 35 games over the course of time, and that brought the total library of Intellivision games up to a nice 125 titles.
Okay, so some of the titles we looked at earlier were part of that. The Body Slam Super Pro Wrestling, that was released during the INTV days, and some of the other ones, and so they kept marketing this thing. It was no longer available in stores really, but you could still mail order it. You could contact INTV directly and get all the games, all the old games that didn't sell during and after the crash. They kept selling.
And one of the things I want to mention about this, this isn't licensed baseball. Sorry, at this point they didn't pay the money to get the licensing back, which is understandable. To have the NFL or whatever before the title of football or whatever sport you would have, that cost a pretty big chunk of change, and all you have to have is the Intellivision running man playing these sports, and I think that's all the more you need.
Yeah, and so the earlier sports titles that we looked at were the officially licensed. This one we're playing on the PS2, and it's just called baseball on this collection.
Yeah, the reasoning for that was they wanted to keep that low overhead, so the licensing for the sports were unreasonable, at best.
Yeah, that backgammon league, they just rape you.
Yeah. So. Backgammon league.
So the title, they really didn't need the licensing. So I can see why they did that. It doesn't,
especially since you don't have the pro teams. You don't have the room on the cartridge.
Yeah, this isn't changing anything about the game. That this is an MLB baseball. So
it still plays like baseball.
Yeah, so that's one of the small differences you'll see if you play one of these collection games. But as far as the hardware goes, this is running it all off the genuine hardware done by the original developers that knew the system inside and out. And another thing we can get into here, which will, I guess, go into our next phase of the Intellivision saga, which I think we should head into in the next video. So I think we've taken a good look at baseball. Definitely a good baseball, and if you ask George Plimpton, compared to the Atari version, it kicks its ass.
You're walking on... Oh, I can't sing it now. Dunkin's. Is that Dunkin' Donuts? Thin Ice with a penguin. I had my own song to this, which I will sing here in a minute, but that's pretty nice. You got a little bit of Intellivision music going on.
Some nice animation on the duck there.
Look at Duncan.
There's
Duncan the penguin.
I
think he's a penguin. And his friends Bobo, PJ, Mickey, and Norman. Select one or two players. Go ahead, Ray. You're walking on thin ice.
Thin ice.
Thin ice. All right, so Ray's gonna show us a little bit of Thin Ice here, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about the Blue Sky Rangers, an interesting group of characters that were really the heart and soul of this Intellivision. So, hats off to you, gentlemen.
And ladies.
Yes. And ladies, I'm sorry.
Yes, we definitely need to mention that there was a female part of the group. Guy gamers, there's your dream girl right there. And especially for that early in the industry, that's very significant that they had a prominent female game developer.
And she designed this game.
Yes.
She designed Thin Ice.
Here's an easy question for you. Which of these games is the closest thing to the real thing? A, Intellivision Major League Baseball. B, Atari Baseball. Here they are again, close up. A, Intellivision. B, Atari. If you thought A, Intellivision, you're absolutely correct. You see, I told you this question was easy.
New Gen Gamers.com.